Hey everybody, woo, that light is bright. I'm actually going to turn this down just a little bit. How about if I come out of the direct light from I put daylight bulbs in my house because daylight makes me happy. But there's a big fucking difference between nature and light bulbs. And you think that they'd have that right by now, but they don't. Because daylight light bulbs are that fucking close to pretty much bright fluorescent lights, but I swear to God, I gotta find something in the middle because that warm white, maybe soft white, is better. I hate things dyed yellow. So that was my first part of my life, talking about how I can't seem to find the right lighting for anything. The only thing I like is natural light. Even as a photographer, I prefer to shoot in natural light. And if I did use professional lighting, finding a way to bounce it off of natural light, because these lights will kill you. Good grief. So anyways, you guys, one thing that has been on my mind is I've been in a lot of different types of businesses. And with the advent of social media, and even before that, with like different associations. I'm an instructional designer. I've owned my own concierge service, errand planner, life organizing company. I've owned a photography company, and then the Conjure company, which was my calling. And what I didn't know was all those things I just mentioned to you were the steps that I needed to get here. And so what I've noticed in all different professions or people that hang in the same circles, have the same passions, people emerge as what they say in the photography community, rock stars. And that Jezebel, really? Get your butt out my face, this cat. Go away, Jezebel. But anyways, so you guys, I'm checking out things in every single community that I've ever been a part of. And I mean, that could be anything, like a college community. And what we notice is that you get, sometimes they're leaders, sometimes they're not leaders. They're just really good at what they do. Sometimes I think that is the biggest drawback to, Jesse always is trying to get on the show. And here she comes now. Say hello, cat. Don't nobody want to talk to you. Listen. I don't know what this thing is with celebrity. I remember the first time I went to a festival and somebody literally ran up. They stopped short of asking me for an autograph because they caught themselves because they remembered who they was talking to. We don't be handing out our signatures. But that was the type of thing that happened. And I still have gotten to a place where I'm uncomfortable with it. I haven't gotten to a place where I'm really comfortable with that. But what I do know is that from being somebody, like, everything I started, and a lot of it was self-taught. With photography, I had a few mentors, but you still had to have that something to be a photographer. And I did, shocked myself. But in any of these communities, you do get people who you admire because they either are really good at what they do or they make a lot of money doing what they're doing. For example, in the photography community, there are a lot of rock stars. And what I picked up on was they were selling things to other photographers. Okay? And these people would come, and I don't really know the backstory on some of them, but they would come from supposedly very highly busy, making money type of studios and type of shooting. And they would sell their process, whether it was their Lightroom processes, prefixes, business software, lens and accessories. And they would sell those things to other photographers. It's kind of like that, any professional community, but you'll see it also in the conjure community, and so what I've noticed is anytime somebody's really, really famous in something like this, is they're usually famous for other people's successes. Think about that. A conjurer is rated as a good conjurer if they can get things done for their clients, whether they're creating the products for the clients to do themselves or they're actually doing the work for the client. And it's really interesting because, personally, and I've always been this way, I think that's because I've always been a teacher. I taught Lightroom workshops. I taught different classes to the community, people who are interested in photography. I entertain mentees as a mentor because I like to teach. I think it's always good, and that's one of my policies is like, I do spell work. I know how to do spell work. If there's things that I don't know how to do, I have a godmother who is highly skilled who can help me. I also associate with a lot of intelligent ass people in my field. And what bothers me the most is I often see the least intelligent of the people in the field creating issues for people who are the most gifted, not even intelligent, gifted in this field. And I was just thinking about like how I came into Conjure, and it was a mostly white group that I was introduced into magic in general to, and they were messy as fuck. I was dismayed. And I know a lot of people who practice the occult probably had points where they were willing to just walk away from it. I certainly know I did. And I'm thinking about the different things that motivate you to keep going. But what dismayed me at first was I'm sitting here and I'm watching all these people who are pagan, who are supposed to be, I'm going to turn this light down some, not judgmental, that are supposed to be different from the environment that I'd come from in Christianity, especially because it was largely gay or gender fluid, non-binary people. So it kind of blew my mind that some of them were so racist or so petty or so sexist or just not informed properly. And the things that they would spend their times doing, going after each other instead of studying the craft. Because for me, that was and still is a passion. I love it. And I explained to my students tonight how through practicing just small spells strengthened my faith to explore this a little bit deeper. So yeah, I was that first crowd, I was like, wow, y'all like that? And then, so when I started meeting more and more and more of us who were practicing magic and joining groups and getting to know people, and everybody loves me because I can keep it real. It's so funny. If I ever go through like my Facebook messages of people who have deleted me or have forced me to delete their asses, there's going to be that passage when we first meet each other. It's in 99% of the emails when people are, accept a friend request or we've had a conversation or something like that. I love how you keep it real. That is until you keep it real for them. And then you the bitch of Bukanda. It's so funny because, I don't think, I think in photography, it was very, very, very much on purpose that these people structured their lives in such a way so they can monetize teaching other photographers or providing tools to other photographers. But the majority of people who are conjurers and who are very, very dedicated to the craft so dedicated that they would actually even think about a commercial venture, they usually fall on one or two sides of the spectrum, okay? There's those people that I just described, and then there's people who just really aren't dedicated, aren't really willing to put the time in, but they do see that there's money in it, and they're kind of interested, and it's fun, and it's something that goes against the grain of something they've ever done. Whereas the people on this other side of the road, that's all they've ever done, even before they had an explanation for it. Never really sought a dime for it, but as you start to become more and more and more skilled, and you realize, hey, there's something I'd like to share with the world. And often, for many of us, I'm hoping for the most of us, we're called by spirit. Because my ass was brought kicking and dragging and screaming out of, I wasn't even in Christianity anymore, but just out of certain patterns of thought, being scared of certain things that were very much part of me. I remember my oldest granddaughter, Miss Cleo, said to me, she's looking at my Gede altar, and she says, "Oh, but the skulls, they scare me." And I was like, "Why?" And she said, "They're just scary." I said, "Who taught you that?" I said, "Do you realize that that's what's up under your skin? Do you realize, you see that teeth in the skeleton? Those are teeth like what you have, made from this very same thing. So why are you scared of what you are?" That is probably, little kids teach you really good lessons. It's a really good way to explain to people who are resistant to the ideas that different religions have. It has also caused me to have a major appreciation for other world religions in and out of my culture. Kind of makes me feel sorry for some of the inaccuracies surrounding the Bible. I swear, I see folks friending me, talking about, Jesus and quoting the New Testament, and I'm thinking, you were there once. You were there once. And you have to open up yourself and study and change your mindset. But what I've decided, I've seen and observed, is through all these different groups of professionals, there's always going to be that pettiness. People call them, in our environment, witch wars. And I just thought about that today when I was sitting in my store. It's like, man, I joined my mambo's house. My mambo was very much like, we had to be sisters or something in a past life. But, it's like, I said what I said. Not really having to have a desire to continue the conversation with anybody about anything. Be like, I said what I said. If I want to discuss something, I'm going to say I'm open to discussion. Sometimes people just want to say what they got to say. That's why social media is so very important for so many of us. But, to keep going back and forth with people, and the fact that I don't even know why, kind of shocked to hear when somebody got my name in their mouth, and it's usually on some fuck shit, okay? Usually some shit I didn't do or has been so carefully misconstrued by the opposing party that I don't even recognize it. Now, there's times when I'm wrong. But see, this is the thing. I feel like I give people a running start, okay? Because it's like, I'm going to stay right there with you to a certain part. And then when we get to said fork in the road, I'm going to either just, and this is me, I'm going to say 99% of the time, I'm going to take the other fork. Okay? But there's that 1% of me that kicks you dead in your ass into the ditch and take the road that you thought you was going on. Because people bring that out in you. And it's a very human thing. But one of the things is it takes a lot of energy to be upset about people and their business and the things they're doing. And, you can find things absolutely what somebody's doing reprehensible. But if the people who said party is doing these reprehensible things, to won't speak out, it's like, then really it's hard, because all I have is their word against yours. Now, I've had situations where several people have come to me about particular individuals at one time, and it's like, oh, wow. So, yeah, does that change the way I see that person? Yeah, especially if I've looked up to them. I'm disappointed. But 9 times out of 10, and some of this stuff just be so not life devastating type of stuff, just personality conflict type of stuff. Or you knew what the hell you was doing when you got into it, but you just decided you didn't like it anymore. And it's so nice at this point in my life, sitting back and minding my own black ass business. What I'm aiming to do for the rest of my life is to surround myself with pretty magical things, beautiful magical souls, and lovely magical food. That's and celestial damn music. Because I realized, I like what I do, and I really, really like that we've been able to make some money from this. A lot of people come into this practice and open these stores and become a reader after a week, and I'm talking about hundreds, black and white, come and go. I've seen people stay too, and whatever their praxis is, whether you like their personalities or not, all that aside, they still are passionate and knowledgeable about what they do. Oh yeah, girl, I got accused of the same thing though. People didn't know shit about me. Yeah, I read and I practiced, I say, with a good 100 people. But see, I was the type of person, I don't need cards. I use cards after the reading for confirmation. And I kind of threw myself out of my normal formation, proving myself for people by, just being a very incredibly competent reader, and them not really knowing, no, God damn it, I'm a diviner. And sometimes Spirit's voice would just jump out my mouth, and I would be like, I'd be looking around the room like, did I say that? Because a lot of people come into this because they want to go commercial, and they're really looking for credibility. And so my biggest thing is, what is your goal for going commercial? My goal for going commercial is, I saw that this stuff worked for me, made my life happier, and the people that I introduced it to, and we studied together, it improved their lives. And then I started saying, hey, I learned working at a store. Hey, well, how does this work for you? How does that work for you? And when I saw that it was making a difference, and when I saw that there was a gap in education for black conjurers, and I've been an educator and online course designer for over 25 years, okay, half my life, I figured, there's a way to bring some of that tradition of having an elder, but yet still use technology to share what we should be passing down. And see, I'd always been passionate about our history and our culture and things, and you just get real watered down hoodoo when you go minor in black studies and whatever at these universities. It's just, you really have to really dig deep for magic. I took a whole graduate course in African American Black music in America, and there's a book by Eileen Southern called The Music of African Americans. I took this class over 20 years ago, and I think there's one mention of the word voodoo and one mention of the word voodoo. When y'all know there was a lot of that in our music. So you really have to dig deep and be real passionate about studying this. That's why people like Toni Morrison just have my heart, you know. Octavia Butler, Gloria Naylor, you know. I'm not even going to Nataki. I'm not going to pronounce her last name. I always mispronounce it. Gwendolyn Brooks, Langston Hughes. You know, we've had so many people bring our joy, beauty, pain, sorrow on paper, on screen. Even Faith Reingold on cloth. You know, we have a history of weavers and quilters and things like that. So yeah, it's really important that we continue to share the traditions of our ancestors. And, you know, I thought about the goal that I have. I used to send Gwendolyn Brooks my short stories, and she used to read them and write on them and comment on them. And I have them locked away in my papers. But back to, you know, minding my own black ass business, you know. I thought about that. I have a goal, and I still think it's a possible goal to be the largest black occult supplier in this country. And I don't even know where I stand there. It seems like maybe that's because I surround myself by all magical people. There are a lot of people living full-time as workers and priestesses and conjurers. Or maybe I just belong to a special crowd. But, like, to really just be out there, be in the community. And the reason why it wasn't even a monetary thing, and I'll tell you a little bit about that, like being rich in a minute. It was because, you know, so many non-black companies have made millions off of our magic. And it's like, well, when do we get to ever make a profit of what we created? You know, when will she be? And, you know, my thing is, I want to do it also so that when you buy something from me, I educate you as much as possible. And I don't sell certain things for certain reasons. Either because they're culturally inappropriate, or they are cultural appropriation, or they're just wrong. They're you know, things that are just fake. You know, I have to be very careful. And I talked to Ifa priestess, Lakumi priestess. I'm looking for someone who can help someone from the Fae or fairy tradition, because I'm not in that tradition, and she's Caucasian. I don't know about that tradition very much. Probably should learn, because that's my thing. I want to learn about all forms of magic, not necessarily so that I can practice all of them. I'm good. You know, we have thousands of loa, and I'm good there. But it's good to have that knowledge to, number one, be able to help your clients, be able to stock things that they need, but also so you don't mistakenly culturally appropriate them, and in some cases know the language, the methods used by your oppressors. We shouldn't limit ourselves. And I see people here being messy online because of how somebody wants to do their magic, you know. I do draw my line at certain things, like, you know, Yanni eggs, douchings, you know, certain types of drugs being used in magical work that have nothing but devastating effects on our community. But, you know, people's personal gnosis is just our glitter. Oh, God, yes. You just had to make me throw up in my mouth. Glitter. Yes, I forgot all about glitter. It's from someone who takes. Yeah, and for me, social media is, you guys, it's been a minute since I did a live, and I actually, when you doing a damn thing, you too busy to do this. Because right now, I'm going to hate myself tomorrow. Because my child has to be up very, very early in the morning, and none of us here are morning people. But I just keep looking at social media, and then people be inboxing me, want to need my eyebrows done. There's a lot of shit you could say about me. I'm a hippie. I ain't shaved my legs all summer. I will cuss your ass out soon as I look at you if you get out of pocket with me. I'm not going to accept bullshit from anybody. And, what I believe in is people should do them and not cause harm to other people. Everything that you do, it makes you happy, great. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody else in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, racist, the problem with racists is they can't just be racist in their own home and in their own space. Because racism oozes out of an individual no matter where they are. So, because I really don't really care. Most people don't actually even know what I think in my heart of hearts when it gets down to the end of the day about people, places, and things. But know that I always believe in what is right. And maybe that's why I took such umbrage. My voodoo sister Tiara's on there. Somebody warned her about me, somebody I've been nothing but nice to. There are people who I've taken in, helped, even showed them what I knew. And they're angry at me for being successful. And it's really, really fucking crazy. And then there are people, when they see you do well and they don't see you posting a lot of craziness on your page, they don't like you. They're angry at you for having what they believe they want. Now, when half of them would get what we have, they probably wouldn't want it either. And that's the thing. Just because somebody is not on social media spilling all of their goddamn guts and reproductive organs, everything out in the street, does not mean that people don't have first world problems or people don't have struggles, But, I was posted this thing by Jennifer Lewis. As somebody who suffers from anxiety and depression, or let's put it this way, was diagnosed with, because I don't suffer anymore. Because, yeah, those things will come up, often chemically induced, and there are ways both medicinally and herbally to alleviate some of those symptoms. But I'm like Jennifer Lewis, I may not be happy where I'm going, but I'm be happy while I'm getting there. That's not my case. Some people don't like their jobs, but I would certainly be glad I had one. And so I gotta live in gratitude. Like my daughter was talking about a $16,000 bottle of champagne, something these rappers be singing about, like they used to sing about Cristal. And I'm just like, there's probably a bottle of Boone's Farm that tastes just as good. Diamonds are no more beautiful than any of these other crystals that I've seen, in my lifetime. They're all beautiful, but I don't know, it's a marketing campaign. So, I'm like, I'm going to be like I want to be the William Buffett of magicians. I want to make a lot of money and just live in a regular house. Because let me tell you something. Unless you have a housekeeper, and if you're a witch, who are you going to get to come clean your house? My room is the one that needs to be cleaned. Now, my daughters clean their rooms up and everything. They had time. But, I'm going to make time. And for what I consider to be a mess, most people are just like, get over yourself. But, having all that house, having all that money, as you can see, it's been proven over and over and over and over again, that doesn't help you be happy. If you're got depression or toxic people in your life, now money will make you hella happy. If you are living authentically, if you are guiding your own ship, and you are not being forced to compromise maybe the things that you don't want. I ain't even willing to compromise on paint color. That's why I'm single. I want things the way I want them. And I realize, you don't always have to have a whole lot of money to make things the way you want them. Sometimes you got to put your mind there first. Often I've thought about girlfriends who've had to leave abusive situations, and often on the road to doing that, examined that they were financially ill-prepared for leaving an abusive situation. But, just that spirit of, I gotta go, can be enough to manifest and propel you the hell out of there. I asked my sister, she left Chicago before I did. I was salty, y'all, because I was always the one talking about moving. I was the one who'd always traveled and done all those things for business and stuff. And she said, I just wrote it down. I was like, wait a minute. She wasn't even practicing. I was like, you wrote a petition? She's like, yeah, you can say that. I wrote down what I wanted. Those are the types of things that I hope to teach people, and through practicing voodoo, an African traditional religion, through continuing to read and study my people, has given me a peace that is only disturbed by the continuation of racism in America. If somebody said you could die tonight and grow up and come back up, reincarnate, would you be any other color? Mm-mm. My daughters, they'll sit and say something. My daughter, especially my oldest, she's like, I love being black. Those types of things are the reasons why I became a parent. Those types of things are the reasons why I became a mambo. Those are the reasons why I became a teacher of our traditions. And so what I find is also that when you're teaching other people, and you're teaching lots of them, and you're teaching a lot, you don't get a lot of time to go up to that next level for yourself. I always marveled at people that taught school during the day and went back to school at night. And it's like, where do you find the time to, cram that advanced knowledge in your brain? I was going to go law school, but I felt like my brain had like this level where it would simply explode. I don't know why I felt that way. I think I'd spent too much time in school, because now I believe my brain will simply expand. And so, getting back to all of this and the whole reason for me posting, but I am the queen, and there's people on here who've known me 20, 30 years. I see Pam. I saw, who else? I saw Cynthia. Folks have known me before I had sense. Now I see my mind as something that I can expand. And so for me, my passion is to make other people expand. Somehow I'm hoping that, as Judica Isles says, magic levels the playing field. It's not this Sabrina the Teenage Witch bullshit, not bewitched, you don't wiggle your nose and the world changes. And for that reason, sometimes I really hate that they call it magic or witchcraft because of what has been done to it. But if you study the oldest of the old, you understand what a witch does. They say it's a woman in total control of herself, but it's more than that. It's learning to play literally with the cards you've been dealt. Our mothers, all of them, whether they believed it or not, was kitchen witches. They could make some government cheese and some powdered milk taste like a goddamn dream. Our history is making a way out of no way. So that is what the study of this is for me. And my religion is a religion of revolution. The only successful black slave revolt ever, powered by the spirits of my religion. So it's just really kind of weird getting back to the very beginning where we talk about people who sell people things so they can do the work, ending up being the biggest rock stars. And then from that, the notoriety and the messiness and the foolishness that goes along with it. But I realized as I was vacuuming my store at 10 o'clock at night that if I keep minding my own black ass business and keep studying and keep expanding, that's probably going to be the best way for me to reach and expand others. And it's so funny because people know me so well, because now when they come in my inbox, they're like, I know you don't want to talk about no mess, but did you see? And so what I'm learning how to do, especially as I realize that a lot of times that I don't like when people say bad things about people that are simply not true, especially in a professional situation, because then you fucking with the church's money. But then I had to sit up and think, time is money. How much time am I going to spend on somebody else's bullshit? And how much time could I have done putting something on the website that's been sitting in the store for a few weeks and you haven't had a chance to do it? Or helping to mentor somebody or lead towards initiation, or an elder in another path of their choosing. How much time could I have spent telling my customers, don't buy white sage and no, I'm not going to sell it, and here's why. Here comes Marky. This is the other one. She's 14. They will not leave me alone. I fed you. Please go away. Where we put our time. And I just don't like messy. I don't like people that argue without being informed. I don't like people who mistreat their spiritual children. I don't like spiritual children that are trifling as fuck. There are always going to be certain things that I have a certain distaste for. But I really want to sit down and see how that energy can be better directed into my own education. And instead of reacting to someone else's dislike, pissed offness, or jealousy, what can I do to expand my mind some more? What is I tell I've said this often professionally, I do not feel like that is the best use of my time. Black girl translation. Are you fucking kidding me, bitch? Are you really going to waste my time with this? When I could be doing it the right way instead of the wrong way? But I learned I couldn't say that in corporate or even in upper ed. So I've had to learn to say, that's not the best use of my time. So I'll encourage you all, especially those of you who are new to this, that want to either professionally read because maybe you feel like you have a gift for the world. Don't sell yourself short. These $5 and $10 readings, if you're still practicing, that's the $5 and $10 readings, just complimentary. Maybe they give you a love offering. But always, in photography, I've felt the same way too. Charge what you're worth. When I was a photographer, you couldn't sit in front of my lens for under $350. That was your sitting fee. Okay? So think about and calculate the worth of your time when somebody sits on your timeline with some bullshit. Somebody comes in your inbox. Somebody texts you. Or if you're part of my generation, calls you or comes by the house and tells you some shit that, yeah, maybe it's fucked up. And yes, that other person probably did say that bullshit. But at the end of the day, in the scale that goes with your character, that bullshit being on one side and your character being on the other, how much time are we going to devote to it when we always show, display, act our character? And you know me, I'm queen of screenshots, so I'm always sure when I write it, I wouldn't mind it being published. There is nothing that is private or sacred on the internet. Know that. Continue to cultivate personal relationships with people, real people who matter. And please stop thinking that any human being is like famous or elite, well known, respected. That's good. But better, admire somebody because they're a master. But don't blindly follow anything. Always follow what resonates with you and go with your passions. But don't go to college to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever because your parents said that those were safe professions. We got to get out of that mindset. You go to expand. You find your passion and then you live it. Have a good night, guys. Bye-bye.